Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy, the Wrestling Classic here, guys. I want to let you guys know that there's a limited edition Wrestling Classic tee. I'm wearing it right now, but I got to show you the back because it's in collaboration with none other than HQ Clothing, guys. It says Conquered in the back because that's what we do. We're out here conquering it every day, guys. Wear this shirt, remember to conquer it, do the thing, keep doing the thing. HQ Clothing, Headquarters Clothing, guys. Limited edition Wrestling Classic shirts. There's only like 70 left. There's only 100 printed. Make sure you get them before they're gone. I truly, truly, truly appreciate your support. Conquer it. Get it now. Put the link in the description below. And we are back for another casual conversation with the classic, guys. I'm here, none other than the one, the only Grayson Waller. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I heard that you've been struggling with your interviews lately, struggling with charisma. Obviously, outfit-wise, you've just put on a hoodie, like selling for less. So I'm more than happy to come here, give you some tips, whatever you need on how to interview people better.
I really appreciate that. I really need it, and I appreciate your help coming in here to do that. It's been a struggle. Talking about interviews, I recently just listened to you on an interview, and usually I ask you what your earliest memories of wrestling are. But listen to Chris Van Vliet, I already know what that is, so I'm going to spin it up a little bit.
Okay.
War Games is coming here to Vancouver. Survivor Series War Games November 30th. So I had a quick question for you. You said your earliest memories of wrestling was WCW. So if you had to make a War Games team with WCW Superstars, who would be the four people with you?
Ooh. See, there's like the part of my brain who thinks of War Games and realizes how like dangerous War Games is, how brutal it is, and you've got to kind of get those kind of guys. And then there's the WCW guy, I mean, who used to watch it, who wants to bring in all the cruiserweights, you know, who might not do so well in War Games. Number one, I'm taking Scott Steiner, especially WCW Scott Steiner, because that guy is insane, and you never know what he's going to do. So just put him in. Who knows what's going to happen? That's a bit of fun. I'm putting Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman in as a tag team because they're going to do some wild things. If you want people to come off the cage, I've done that. I've jumped off the cage. I don't need to do it again. Thanks, man. Like my body's good. So I'm going to have them as my tag team. And then I need a fourth. So many options. You know who I'm going to put in? We're in a cage. Let's put in Tank Abbott, dude. Let's put Tank Abbott in as my fourth. You want a guy in a cage who's extremely dangerous and you never know what he's going to do? I think that's a perfect option.
That's actually a solid team. It's you, Rey Mysterio, Billy Kidman, and then Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner and then Tank Abbott. That's intimidating.
Like you've just put a random on WWE 2K. You know, that's the team that comes out.
Are we getting dancing Tank Abbott or a regular
No. We need
Tank
like
Abbott?
proper like early UFC's Tank Abbott. So maybe even before WCW. If I really want Tank Abbott, I want the proper Tank Abbott.
Fair enough. Talking about UFC a little bit, I want to ask you really quickly, what made you choose wrestling over boxing and MMA? Because obviously you have a big background in MMA and boxing. Yeah. When did you make the decision that wrestling was the move?
Well, you know, I did MMA for a few years and I loved it. I really enjoyed it, but there was just something about it where it was just like I didn't want to pursue it professionally, and I didn't know why. Like I didn't know what it was. And always being a huge wrestling fan, I think it was the entertainment aspect that I was kind of missing out on. And once I started training wrestling and starting to do shows, I was like, this is what I should have been doing originally. It was just like something about that entertainment aspect that I kind of missed. So I love training. You know, I love going in there and, you know, getting punched in the face and wrestling around. That was all good, but there was just something missing. And for me personally, I think the Showtime aspect of professional wrestling is what I was missing. And then once I started doing that, I was like, this is what I should have been doing all along.
So let's say like when you were a kid and you first started wrestling, obviously like all of us wrestling fans, we love the wrestling, but was it the characters and the storylines that really stood out to you and kept you hooked?
Very much so. And like, I guess it's an interesting thing. You look back on what you enjoyed when you were a kid, and when you're an adult, you kind of understand more why you looked at it. So like even talking about WCW, like I loved all the stuff with like when Warrior came back, which is now like panned as some like terrible wrestling. But at the time as a child, like him coming and being spooky and turning up in the ring out of nowhere and being in the mirror, like I loved all that kind of stuff. And now looking back, I kind of like the story, the fun element of wrestling.
Is that the best thing about watching wrestling as a kid? Because I remember that too, with like the sleeping gas and the warrior would show up. Or
Yeah.
I remember that one War Games where he was in it and he like broke the cage, and all that stood out to me as a kid. And I'm watching it back as an adult. I'm like, oh, if only Twitter existed back then, they
Yeah.
probably would have hated this.
And it's kind of the great thing of like when you're not a critic, because I think everyone today is a critic. You know, when you
Yeah.
go to the movies, everyone's a critic. Like when you're not and you just watch something, it's so much easier to enjoy it. And I kind of miss that aspect of watching wrestling where there was no critical aspect to it. I would just watch it to enjoy it. And that's why I watch a lot of old wrestling now, because it kind of puts me in that space when I was a kid watching it and I can just sit and enjoy it.
It's comfortable. It's a comfort zone thing. I do that too sometimes. NXT, let's talk about what's one of the biggest things you learned from your time on NXT. There's a lot of great things you got to do there, from War Games to creating the Grayson Waller Effect, taking out Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
From your time on NXT, what's one thing you said you think you really learned from there?
Well, NXT is perfect at especially now, teaching you what the main roster is going to be. Like if you're someone that they are invested in and know that you're going to go to big places, they're going to put you in spots and you might not even realize it at the time, so that when you get to the main roster, you feel comfortable. That's the great thing. What I learned in NXT, I got to be in there across from AJ Styles. Apollo Crews came down from the main roster. I got to be in there with Shawn Michaels, Johnny Gargano. I got to work with these main roster guys. So then when I did get called up and I got put in big positions straight away, I didn't have the nerves. I didn't have the stress. I've worked in front of live crowds. I've worked on TV where, time can be an issue. By working NXT, you get all those little stresses out. So when you get to the main roster, I don't want to say it's easy, because it's obviously not. The talent level is so high, but you feel a lot more comfortable. So, I get pulled up and get put in a match with Edge in Madison Square Garden for my first match. I feel a little bit more comfortable than I probably would have been if I had just turned up on the main roster and done that.
Looking back now, knowing that was one of Edge's last matches in the company, what does that mean to you, also wrestling in Madison Square Garden against him?
Yeah, dude, that's a super cool thing. And obviously, at the time we didn't know Edge was going to be finishing his time with the WWE, but he's someone who did so much for the WWE. And especially some of the newer guys coming up, they can't say that they got to work with him. That's something that I kind of have to myself, which is is a cool thing. And obviously Madison Square Garden being such an iconic place for wrestling, for combat sports, to be able to perform in there in the main event against someone like that, that's a very cool thing.
What was the story behind that? Did Edge pick that he wanted to work with you, or was that just a creative situation?
To be honest, I have no idea.
Yeah.
In my head, I'd like to think that, Edge was asked, and I do know that he'd spoken to some of the guys who'd worked with me previously. He'd spoken to AJ and kind of got the read of me, because at the time, Edge isn't just going to get in with anyone. Obviously, he's in a big spot and he wants to give back, but he also, he wants to protect himself and take care of himself, which I understand. So I don't know what the conversations were, but someone obviously had trust in me. Probably a few people had trust in me, and I look back and I think I delivered the trust that they have. I gave them the performance that they needed on that night.
I want to talk about the Grayson Waller Effect really quickly. Whose idea was it to go live on social media while you were filming the Grayson Waller Effect? And were you guys ever worried about getting the wrong kind of comments or anything like that?
Yeah, so all that was my idea, because I was trying to I spoke to a writer about, he brought me the idea and we kind of got through it together. My whole thing was I wanted it to be different, and I thought using Instagram Live, especially for Grayson, I use social media all the time, so why not use it on the show? And in NXT, we did it where we actually had the feed on the big screen. So if you're in the audience, and you could kind of see the comments. So especially with now, trolls love to troll. So now we've kind of adapted it differently on the main roster, where if you want to be in that extra feed, you want to have a look at what I'm looking at, you can do that, but we're not putting the comments on the screen or anything like that. It's specifically, you're just logging into my feed. If people want to say things, that's their decision, but we're not putting that on TV anymore.
Hey, yo, have you guys heard about 500 Level? They make officially licensed WWE merchandise, and I actually have been working with them on a couple of designs. A design that I worked on recently was with a girl named Caitlin, who's a big Dakota Kai fan, and we designed this new Dakota Kai shirt, which you can get exclusively now at 500 Level. Once again, officially licensed with the WWE. Really wanted a new Dakota Kai shirt. Got this one designed and made, and it's on the website now, on sale now, 500level.com. Guys, join their partnership program. You get discounts the more shirts you buy, 10%, 20%, 30%. You earn points and you get a discount. They have OG shirts, guys. I have to re-up on my NWO shirts. on 500 level, the comfortable material. If you get the premium shirts, but even the non-premium is super comfortable. I got NWO shirts. I got Shawn Michaels shirts. You can find some of your favorite wrestlers on there. You can find none other than guys like Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Check out this shirt. It's a sweet, sweet shirt, everybody. 500level.com. Like I said, they have the NWO stuff. And if you're like a big NXT fan, they got shirts for all of your favorite NXT wrestlers. And if they don't, let me know and I'll make sure we get some shirts made for your favorite NXT wrestler. I went to go support my girl, Carmen Petrovic. You guys can check out our casual conversation on my YouTube channel. You can check out mine and Carmen Petrovic's casual conversation. But 500 level had a Carmen Petrovic shirt. I had to go support my fellow Canadian and the homie Carmen Petrovic, guys. 500level.com, guys. Check them out. Get premium, officially licensed WWE shirts that you cannot find on WWE shop all the time. They have a huge selection on their website also for MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL. They got shirts for everything, but their wrestling selection is insane. Custom creative designs. Maybe I can work together with someone out there that is an editor that wants to put more designs on the website. Hit me up. 500level.com. Check them out and keep doing the thing. WrestleMania 40, you got to win the tag team titles with Austin Theory. Before I talk about winning the tag team titles, I just want to talk about your relationship with Austin Theory. How did that start? And why did you guys think it would be a good decision to team together?
Yeah, I think we kind of knew each other from, mutual friends before I got called up. But when I did, we worked out we're pretty similar guys. We have similar work ethics. We have a similar drive. And so we started working together a little bit. And then I think it's a case of sometimes when you see something that works, you just run with it. And all of a sudden we were teaming more and more. And now it's been, over a year that we've been tag teaming together. And I very much enjoy it. I don't think anyone grows up picturing themselves as a tag team wrestler.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, everyone's like, I'm the champion, I'm the world champion. But then when you get into a tag team, I think we've had a lot of opportunities that we might not have had if we were both doing singles at the same time. We've been in there with Cody, Randy, Kevin, all got multiple times. We've won tag team championships. We've been on big shows. And I think it's the advantage of us being a team and us being so driven and working hard together that has given us those opportunities.
What did it mean to win those tag team titles at WrestleMania 40? And did you realize the crowd was a little confused about what this title situation was there?
Dude, it's a lifelong dream to wrestle at WrestleMania. To win a championship at WrestleMania, no matter what else I do in my career, no one can take that from me. That's something that very few people get to do, and I've ticked it off my bucket list year one on the main roster. The whole experience is from a performer's point of view, WrestleMania is wild because you're out there during the day in this empty stadium, and then all of a sudden things move quickly, and then you're just out there, and you don't even have time to kind of comprehend how many people are there. You don't get to comprehend that you're at WrestleMania. It just happens, and it's kind of afterwards you look back and go, "Wow, that was wild." But getting to be in, Lincoln Financial, home of the Eagles, my NFL team, that whole experience was very, very cool.
We saw you in that segment with Cena where you came out there and pitched WrestleMania in the UK. For you, why do you think Australia deserves a WrestleMania more than the UK?
See, the thing is, London is such a romanticized place. You watch Harry Potter. You watch these shows, you watch Downton Abbey, whatever these English terrible shows you watch, and you're like, wow, what a beautiful place. It looks so nice. Then you go there, it's raining all the time, it's cold, it's dark. The people are horrendously ugly. The whole thing is terrible. So it's the complete opposite of what Australia is. So it's I think people think London is different than it actually is. And for Australia, when everyone came to Elimination Chamber, what are the wrestlers doing on their downtime? Oh, we're taking you to this beautiful island. Come and meet these cool animals. Come enjoy the sun. If I'm a former, where am I going to go? And I know it's going to be Australia every time.
The last decade, we've actually seen a lot of talent come from Australia, from Rhea Ripley, yourself, and many others. Why do you think there is such a talent pool in wrestling scene in Australia? And do you feel like now it's easier to be recognized coming up over there than it was maybe 10 years ago?
Yeah. Australia's always had the talent, and I think the reason right now you're seeing so many people is because it's untapped. The American independents have been drained. The UK independents got drained. All these big places, all their talent got taken. So now you're looking at the next level of talent. With Australia, they took a few people, but there's so much talent there that you could go and there's, I could name 10 guys and girls off the top of my head right now who would come to WWE and succeed immediately. So I think it's an untapped market. And now you're seeing more people coming in. Zaria walks into NXT.
Yeah.
Day one is the biggest deal in the women's division. Pins Roxanne Perez, the NXT women's champion. That's what we do as Australians. When you get an Australian talent, they're going to do huge things. And every talent from Australia who's been here has been a champion, has done big things, and I think that's going to continue to happen.
I'm going to put you on the spot for a second.
Yeah.
If you could name one person from Australia that you right now would say, because you said there's a bunch of talent there right now, that you would say, if Grayson Waller had the option to give this person the WWE ID, who would it be?
Oh, see, you're going to get me in so much trouble here because
Yeah.
I'm very tapped into the Australian independence.
Yeah.
I'm very close. These are all my mates, you know, type of thing.
Yeah.
So one person is extremely difficult.
You could pick a couple, but sure.
Yeah, I might have to, because the thing is, like, Australia's a great thing where we have, if you want technical wrestlers, you want people to go out there. There's a girl called Jessica Troy in Australia right now who technically none of those women in NXT can do what she does. And she's starting to find herself. She just won the Coliseum tournament in PWA in Australia. You put her in NXT, she's doing Delta-like things, you know. She's an incredible talent. Then you have some of the guys. My boy Jimmy Townsend, who I actually just wrestled. I went home to Australia to wrestle this kid. He has so much potential, and I think in a few years, people are going to be talking about him like they talk about the other Australians. There's a new tag team called the Dropouts with the Tuckman and Scott Green. If you love characters and you love fun and you love going to a show and getting behind someone, like, these are the kids. So they're the three I'm going to give for now, or the four technically. There's a lot more. Find PWA in Australia. If you find them on YouTube, that's where you're going to see some of the best wrestling in the world.
That's what everyone check out PW. I'm going to check that out myself. Really quickly, last couple of questions though. Larger than life personality. I feel like I could see you on some of these things. If there was any reality TV show that you could see Grayson Waller on, what reality TV show would that be?
This is the easiest answer in the world. The Challenge. Growing up, I had two goals. I wanted to be in WWE and I wanted to be on The Challenge. They are my two things that I love in life. And I've ticked off one and I'd love to tick off the other. There was actually some opportunities when I first started in NXT to talk to people from The Challenge and talk to some producers. But at that stage, I was like, I need to go all in on my wrestling. I can't be focused on other things. If I want to be the biggest thing in WWE, I got to choose WWE. But, you know, I know The Challenge is doing some other kind of concepts. They're doing All-Stars. I'm hoping they bring back like a Champs vs. Stars. One of those ones where you don't have to disappear for 3 months. Because if I'm going to do the show, I'm going to win the show and I'm going to be there a long time. And it's hard to take that much time off from wrestling. But in some capacity, I'm going to find my way on The Challenge.
Yeah, we'll put that out in the universe. So somehow you find your way on The Challenge. This one really quickly, and then I'll wrap it up with the last question. I just want to know for my own personal. There was a video that went viral when you were in Australia on the news where you got into it with one of the anchors over, him calling you out about wrestling. Was that real or was that work?
I don't think that either of them kind of, because obviously I'm in a position where I'm not going to do anything to the guy. So I would say it's more real than show. Obviously, I'm having fun with it. They don't know that I'm having fun with it. But I was honestly upset. I was honestly disrespected. You know, you don't see NFL players go on to talk shows and they go, you wear helmets. This doesn't hurt. You know, I'll put on a helmet and pads. Hit me. That would never happen because they know how disrespectful it is. But for some reason with wrestling, they're allowed to say these things. And I think it's a case of we need to stand up for what we do. The real ones who do this or who watch it as religiously as like you do, for example, Justin, like, you know how bad this is on our bodies. You know, like I've in my head, like not only have I given my body to this industry, all my friends, all my family back home in Australia, I moved halfway across the globe to give my life, to give my energy to something, to chase a passion. And I go home and I get disrespected like that. That's what frustrated me. So, you know, I was having fun with it. It was never going to go past what it was, but that was a legit reaction and legit frustration coming from me.
Fair enough. Yeah, you just want to put someone in their place for something you really care about, but it wasn't anything that was going to go get extreme. Last but not least, I'd like to wrap up with this question. I want to ask you, you got much more of a career ahead of you than you do behind you so far, but as of right now, do you feel like you've made your younger self proud?
Oh, easy done. Like, as an Australian, like, just me being in the WWE, that would be great. But for me personally, like, I know that I always have to be chasing. I always have to have a chip on my shoulder. Otherwise, I'm not at my best. So, you know, I could be happy with the things that I've done. I've done huge things. I won a championship at Wrestlemania. But for my drive and for my mindset, I got to want more. And I got to be like, that wasn't enough. So 2025, I think, is going to be a very big year for Grayson Waller. And even coming up now, you know, with Survivor Series in Vancouver, that's a huge show. And just being at these shows and watching and going, that's where I want to be next year. That's kind of the energy that I'm giving. So, you know, having that big show coming up, I want to pay attention. I want to watch. I want to watch OG Bloodline versus the Bloodline in Vancouver. And I want to be like, that's where I want to be next year. And I want to find that drive and that kind of passion to chase that in the next year.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Everyone, make sure you guys follow Grayson Waller and see where he's at next. Maybe we'll see him on the challenge sometime soon. And everyone, keep doing the thing. Sweet.
Legend. Thanks, brother.
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.